Hi folks, my next story is titled Perfectly Piled Wood. There's a great old saw that says firewood is the perfect fuel, that it heats you 3 or 4 times during the cycle of its preparation. Let's see, let's count. Once when you cut it, once when you haul it, again when you stack it, again when you fit it to stove length, again when you restack it outside, again when you move it inside, and yes, finally, again when you carry it to the wood box. Yeah, that's easy to see 3 or 4 times. My mother is a great stacker of firewood. In fact, I believe she has elevated her stacking to an art form. Her season's supply of wood stands at the front of her house like little monuments to perfection. I kid her about it, but only because it's one of the reasons that I respect her and because I know the process is important to her. 5 piles per year, a half cord per pile, each stack standing straighter than my 5 brothers and sisters stood as we were waiting for the school bus all those years ago. Each pile is stacked apart from the other in such a way to get maximum sun and maximum air as she lets the wood cure outside and naturally. She restacks it in her garage every fall, just before the fall rains start. Somehow, she always knows what that date's going to be too. My mother grew up in Aroostook County where winters were a serious thing. There, wood was always stacked near the house just so you could find it after the snow started. There was a woodshed on her place, out from the kitchen, out past the summer kitchen, down the enclosed shed, just beyond the outhouse. Who doesn't recall that long, cold walk? But at least it was out of the blowing snow and the frigid air. My grandfather used to keep his wood a season or 2 ahead all the time. He would drop it and stack it stick length in the woodlot and let it air dry for a season. He was the same guy who used to say the next season's firewood should be fitted and stacked before Easter Sunday. There were 2 reasons for that, he'd add. 1, the wood would have all summer to cure before it was used, and 2, it was a chore to prudently finish in early spring before the 100 other things came along that used to occupy a farmer's mind and his back. Grampy always knew the risks of wood burning, like chimney fires. In Mapleton 75 years ago, those were serious problems indeed. I consider myself a recreational user of firewood. A gas heater in the kitchen and an oil furnace in my basement have made my living room wood stove something warm to back up to, or comfort heat. Abby used to keep her shoulder warm all winter long in the shadow of our parlor stove. I have toppled woods in the woods and hauled raw wood to my yard. I have cut and carried 8-foot logs and 4-foot bolts. I have had log length delivered and cut it myself. Now that I consider myself a little older, maybe a little wiser, my wood is dumped in the backyard, all cut and split to a proper and uniform length. I suspect Grampy would be appalled at the price and upset that I still let Easter come and go without a serious effort to put my wood away. I admit that, but the one thing I still insist on is the stacking. I like to watch the pile as it grows, and I like to be sure it goes up straight and true. Each piece of wood has its place, and sometimes to get it right, I need to replace it. I always stack my wood bark up to best shed water. I don't have the old woodshed, so sometimes I get pretty fastidious about the way my pile is covered. I know that on a cold January day I can take a wheelbarrow full of wood, and I know my dining room wood box will hold a wheelbarrow load of wood. I've been known to count the wheelbarrow trips as I stack. So this season's firewood has been stacked, fitted and covered now for a month. I know this August heat won't last, and soon the trips to the wood box will begin again. That's okay, now that I accept that one of my connections to my mother and to my grandfather is that wood pile. Thanks for listening.